A black delivery driver solved a problem that 20 engineers couldn't crack. If you're so brilliant, then fix it right now, bellowed Michael Harrison, the chief technology officer at TechCorp, gesturing furiously at the red error. Screens blinking across the command center. Their systems had been completely down for 3 hours, bringing the operations of dozens of client businesses to a standstill. Kesha Williams, only 24 years old, had come there merely to drop off the lunch Michael had ordered through an app. She still had her insulated delivery bag slung over one shoulder when she casually remarked about the error code flashing on the main monitor, a comment that froze the engineers mid-motion, as if she'd spoken an alien language. "Sorry, but that error comes from a conflict in cache memory," she said matter-of-factly, placing the food on the table. "You tried restarting the main server without clearing the buffer of pending transactions." A suffocating silence swept the room. 20 engineers, all alumni of top-tier universities and earning six-figure salaries, found themselves confronted by a black delivery driver who'd pinpointed the issue in mere seconds, an issue they'd failed to resolve in hours. "Oh, it's hilarious," Michael sneered, dripping with sarcasm. "I'm guessing you didn't even finish high school. Why don't you run along and leave the real work to people who actually know what they're doing?" Some of the engineers chuckled, shaking their heads in derision. David Park, the senior engineer, folded his arms and said, "Listen, this isn't fixing a busted microwave. We're talking about an infrastructure platform processing millions of dollars." Kesha stood rooted to the spot, her dark eyes radiating a tranquil confidence that seemed out of place amid the chaos. There was a dangerous sort of calm in her demeanor, as if she was privy to knowledge they weren't. "Okay then," she answered softly, adjusting the strap on her shoulder. "But when you realize and your system's up and running exactly 2 minutes after you follow my advice. Remember this conversation?" Michael let out a booming, mocking laugh.
"Ow, 2 minutes?
Sweetheart, the system's been dead for 3 hours? We've got 20 professionals working on this. You really think some delivery girl is going to teach us anything?" A faint smile curved Kesha's lips, a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes, but held a quiet weight that made some in the room squirm with a sense of unease. It was as though she was hiding a secret too powerful to reveal just yet. If stories of prejudice and underestimated brilliance resonate with you, don't forget to subscribe to the channel to learn how a simple food delivery became the spark for a revolution no one would ever forget. 3 days had passed, yet Michael Harrison couldn't shake the memory of the black delivery woman daring to correct him in front of his entire staff. Worst of all, she'd been absolutely right. After following her suggestion, system was back online precisely 2 minutes later, but Michael wasn't the type of man to accept being shown up by someone he considered beneath him. With a degree from MIT, 15 years in the tech industry, and a $200,000 annual salary, he refused to believe that a mere delivery driver could know something he didn't. "I tracked down her name," announced David Park as he entered Michael's office with a mischievous grin. Kesha Williams, 24 years old, works for 3 different delivery apps, lives over on the east side of town. Get this. David paused dramatically. She dropped out in her 3rd year of a computer science program.
Michaels.
Eyebrows rose in intrigue. Dropped out why? Couldn't pay tuition, apparently. This comes from a low-income family. It's a typical story dreams bigger than reality can support. What neither Michael nor David knew was that Kesha hadn't left college for lack of talent, but because tragedy struck her family. In her 3rd year, Kesha's mother had been diagnosed with cancer, forcing Kesha to choose between continuing school and working to fund her mother's treatment. The choice had been painfully clear. For 2 years, Kesha juggled 3 jobs during the day while teaching herself programming at night. Her desk was a cardboard box in the small room she shared with her mother, and her computer lab consisted of a battered old laptop she'd bought with borrowed money. "You know what annoys me?" Michael muttered, staring out the window. "From the 23rd floor, people like her waltz into our world, acting like we're equals. She doesn't understand there's a hierarchy, a natural order of things." David chuckled in agreement. "Exactly. Gut. I bet she memorized a few code snippets off the internet and now thinks she's a genius. Beginner's luck, that's all." But they were oblivious to the fact that Kesha had developed on her own a route optimization system for delivery drivers that outperformed anything TechCorp's engineers had managed. She'd turned survival into innovation, writing algorithms that maximized earnings and minimized time on the road. The following Thursday, Michael decided he'd had enough of the bold delivery girl. Using his sway as a big corporate client, he contacted every food delivery platform in the city with a special request: ban Kesha Williams from making deliveries to TechCorp. He falsely accused her of inappropriate conduct and customer disrespect as the CTO of one of this city's largest companies. "I can't have disrespectful workers serving us," he lied to the app supervisors. Within 24 hours, Kesha received suspension notices from all 3 apps she relied on for work. No explanations, no chance to defend herself, just an abrupt loss of her only income. Sitting in her kitchen, Kesha stared at the growing stack of medical bills for her mother's treatments. Rage and steely resolve coursed through her as she reread the suspension emails. Her hands trembled slightly, not with fear, but with determination. "What's wrong, honey?" asked her mother, Helen, shuffling into the kitchen. Weakened by recent chemotherapy. "Nothing, Mom. Just a work problem. I'll take care of it." Kesha wrapped her arms around Helen, feeling the fragility of the body that had fought so valiantly. "To stay alive, I'll fix everything." That night, Kesha powered up her aging laptop and returned to something she hadn't done in a long while: coding. But this time, it wasn't for delivery routes or small logic puzzles. She was building something far more ambitious. Every keystroke was fueled by years of being underestimated, dismissed, and belittled. Michael Harrison had unknowingly unleashed a quiet fury in her, fury honed by hardship and fueled by an unyielding determination to prove her worth. For a brief moment, when she first read the suspension notices, Kesha had felt the old weight of hopelessness pressing down on her. But anyone who knew her story would have recognized the truth. She was simply gathering her strength. Like a storm gathering force before breaking loose. Over the next 2 weeks, Kesha lived 2 parallel lives. By day, she scoured the city for any job that could help pay for her mother's treatments, cleaning, waitressing, anything. By night, she transformed into a relentless programmer. Writing code for a system destined to change everything, Michael Harrison remained oblivious to the fact that his attempt to ruin Kesha's life had inadvertently ignited the spark for something far greater. Every rejection she faced in job interviews, every pitying glance from potential employers, every overdue bill fueled her determination and her lines of code. "You've hardly slept," Ellen observed gently one night, seeing Kesha hunched over her laptop at 3 a.m. "What are you working on?" "Something that's going to change our lives, Mom. Trust me." Meanwhile, at TechCorp, Michael was basking in what he believed was his triumph over the bothersome delivery girl. During a staff meeting, he recounted the story as though it were an amusing anecdote. "Remember that girl who tried to correct us last week?" Michael said, chuckling as he leaned on the conference table. "She won't be causing any more trouble. I pulled some strings and made sure she's blacklisted from every delivery app in town." David Park burst into laughter. "Perfect. She needs to learn there's a hierarchy. People like us don't take disrespect from people like her." What no one realized was that Jennifer Chen, an experienced Asian programmer on the team, was quietly recording the discussion on her phone. Jennifer had been Kesha's lone defender on that disastrous day, though she'd been swiftly silenced by her peers. Now, listening to Michael openly confess to destroying an innocent person's life, she felt compelled to take action. That same night, Jennifer made a move that might jeopardize her own career. She tracked Kesha down via social media and sent her a private message. "Hi Kesha, I'm Jennifer. I work at TechCorp. I was there the day you fixed our system problem. I have some things you need to know about what Michael did to you. Can we talk?" When Kesha read the message, she hesitated at first, wary of a possible trap. But there was something genuine in Jennifer's words that made her agree to meet in a quiet cafe downtown. "He really did that?" Kesha asked in disbelief after hearing the recording in which Michael admitted to sabotaging her career. "Even worse, he's boasting about it," Jennifer replied, her eyes blazing with anger. "Michael, Harrison is a narcissist who can't handle being corrected, especially by a black woman. He did it purely out of bruised pride, Jennifer. Then slid a piece of paper across the table. These are contacts for TechCorp's biggest corporate clients. Companies that rely on our systems for essential operations. If someone can prove Michael's making technical decisions based on personal bias instead of skill, Kesha accepted the paper with trembling fingers. Why are you helping me? You don't even know me. Because I've been in your shoes, Jennifer sighed. 3 years ago, Micah tried to get me fired after I corrected an error he made in an investor presentation. The only difference is I had union protection and legal help. You didn't get that chance, but maybe we can create justice ourselves. That night, Kesha dove into her work with renewed purpose. She was no longer merely developing a system, she was constructing a trap. Her project had transformed into something far larger. A security vulnerability analysis platform able to scan corporate systems and detect critical weaknesses in real time. But her true breakthrough came from the long nights she'd spent researching. Kesha had uncovered dozens of serious vulnerabilities in TechCorp's own systems flaws that Michael and his 20-person team had completely missed, but which she had mapped out in detail. Over the following week, Kesha launched the first stage of her plan. Armed with the information Jennifer had given her, she set up fake social media profiles and began connecting with CTOs and tech chiefs from TechCorp's top client firms. Her approach was deceptively simple and elegant. She offered free security assessments to businesses dependent on outsourced systems. Nothing unethical, just a skilled woman offering to help reveal potential risks. What these companies didn't realize was that many of the vulnerabilities Kesha would uncover traced directly back to flaws in TechCorp's products and services. How's the project going? Helen asked one evening, watching her daughter finally unwind after 2 intense weeks. Better than I hoped, Mom. Way better. Kesha smiled, though her expression had changed. It was no longer the look of a desperate woman struggling to survive. Now it was the confident smile of someone who had discovered her true power. Meanwhile, across town, Michael Harrison received the first of many calls destined to upend his life. The CTO of Megacorp, one of TechCorp's largest clients, was on the line. Michael, we have to talk right away. We've just gotten an independent security report revealing critical vulnerabilities in all the systems you installed for us. Flaws you told us didn't exist. Michael felt a cold chill slide down his spine. That has to be a mistake. Mr. Rodriguez, our systems passed every audit. The report came from a security expert named Kay Williams. Do you know her? The phone almost slipped out of Michael's grip. Kay Williams. Kesha. Williams, the delivery driver whose life he'd tried to destroy, was back. And clearly she wasn't delivering food anymore. Michael, are you still there? Yes. I'll check into it immediately. When he hung up, Michael's hands trembled slightly. It wasn't quite fear yet, but it was dawning on him that maybe, just maybe, he'd seriously underestimated is someone he should have left alone. What Michael didn't yet realize was that this phone call was merely the first salvo in a calculated campaign. Kesha wasn't simply targeting one TechCorp client. She was preparing a full-scale expose, revealing years of technical negligence, prejudice-driven decisions, and incompetence disguised as expertise. While Michael struggled to figure out how a delivery girl had acquired such precise intelligence on vulnerabilities his own team had missed, Kesha was already 3 steps ahead, executing the next phase of her plan, a plan that would turn Michael's public humiliation into a lasting lesson he'd never forget. For a brief instant, as he saw the name Kay Williams flash across his computer screen, Michael felt a flicker of something: recognition, perhaps even regret. But anyone who understands true justice knows that some betrayals are too profound to be fixed with simple apologies, and that sometimes the only language people like Michael truly understand is consequences they can't ignore. The following Monday, Michael Harrison arrived at the office to find his secretary pale and rattled, clutching a pile of urgent messages. "Mr. Harrison, we have to talk," she said, her voice shaking. We've lost 12 contracts in the last 24 hours. They're all citing the same issue-critical security flaws found by an independent audit. Michael felt as if the ground was falling away beneath him. 12 contracts meant nearly 60% of TechCorp's annual revenue. What audit? Authorized this? Nobody authorized it, sir. A consultant offered free audits to our clients, and, well, they accepted. The phone rang. It was Richard Goldman, CEO of Dataflow Industries, one of TechCorp's biggest customers. Michael, I'm terminating our contract immediately. As K. Williams discovered vulnerabilities you swore didn't exist. It's even worse, I've learned you've known about these flaws for months and kept silent. Richard. This has to be a misunderstanding. The misunderstanding was trust in you. The consultant showed us system logs going back 6 months. You exposed us to massive risks and lied about it. Michael hung up, hands trembling. K. Williams somehow had access to TechCorp's internal logs. How was that possible? The answer arrived moments later in the form of an email. Jennifer Chen had sent a company-wide message titled, "Transparency and Integrity. A necessary conversation, dear colleagues. As an employee of this company for 5 years, I feel obligated to share information, critical to our professional ethics." The email laid out how Michael had used his authority to sabotage Kesha's career out of sheer bias, including a recording of the meeting where he'd boasted about destroying her life. Kesha Williams spotted a critical flaw in our systems within seconds. Our reaction was to humiliate her hand, then ruin her career. 6 months later, Kesha Williams sat in a modern office on the 21st floor, gazing out over the city through huge glass windows. Her company, Secure Code Solutions, had evolved from a spark of determination into one of the nation's top cybersecurity consultancies. We've signed 17 new contracts this month, said Jennifer Chen, stepping into the room carrying a stack of proposals. 3 of those are former TechCorp clients who came to us after seeing our work. Kesha smiled, not the smile of revenge, but of someone who had transformed pain into purpose and humiliation into drive to build something meaningful. And how's our dear old company faring these days? Kesha asked, though she already knew the answer. Michael was fired last week, Jennifer replied. TechCorp has lost 80% of its corporate clients over the past 6 months. They're even talking bankruptcy. He's trying to sue former clients for breach of contract, but nobody's taking him seriously. I hear he's freelancing now, but, well, no one trusts him. Kesha nodded. Funny how reputation works. Takes years to build and seconds to destroy. Indeed. Michael Harrison had learned the hard way that skill and worth had nothing to do with diplomas or the color of someone's skin. After TechCorp ousted him, he tried desperately to revive his career. But a recording of him confessing to sabotaging Kesha's career out of prejudice went viral in tech circles. Companies that once courted him now shunned his name. Colleagues who'd once laughed at his jokes now avoided him at conferences. Even David Park had issued a public statement distancing himself from Michael's bigotry. You know what's the best part? Said Helen, Kesha's mother, walking into the office with a tray of coffee. Her health had improved drastically now that Kesha could afford excellent medical care. That man tried to destroy you because he thought you didn't deserve to be at his level. And now, you're 3 levels above him. Kesha hugged her mother. It was never about levels, Mom. It was about proving that talent has no color, no social rank, no limits. And that sometimes when the system doesn't protect us, we have to build our own justice. The phone rang. It was an invitation to speak at the National Technology Conference, the same stage where Michael had been a keynote speaker for 5 straight years. Now, he wasn't even on the guest list. I'm going to accept, Kesha told Jennifer. I want to talk about how true diversity in tech isn't just about social fairness. It's about technical excellence. Imagine how many problems we'd solve faster if people stopped judging others by appearances. Meanwhile, across town, Michael sat in a cramped studio apartment in the suburbs, reading yet another rejection letter. His bank account was nearly empty. He'd sold his luxury condo to cover legal debts. For the first time in his life, Michael Harrison was feeling what it was like to be judged not for his skill but for his actions. and the consequences were far harsher than anything he'd ever inflicted on Kesha. "You turned their attempt to humiliate you into a showcase of strength," said Jennifer, watching Kesha review new client contracts. "Wasn't just revenge, that was justice." "The best revenge," Kesha replied, "isn't destroying the people who hurt you. It's building something so extraordinary that they're forced to realize just how small they were for trying to hold you back." A year after that dramatic day at TechCorp, Kesha had proven Michael right about one thing. There was a natural hierarchy. But it wasn't determined by race, social class, or which college someone attended. It was built on competence, integrity, and the courage to stand up for justice. Even when the world tries to silence you, Secure Code Solutions had grown to 45 employees. Many of them talented professionals previously overlooked by mainstream companies. Kesha wasn't just running a business, she'd launched a movement proving that diversity and technical excellence go hand in hand. Michael Harrison had tried to sabotage a woman delivering food because he couldn't handle the idea that she might be smarter than him. He ended up losing everything and ironically helped spark one of the most innovative technology companies in the country. Kesha had discovered that true triumph isn't about making your enemies suffer. It's about achieving such exceptional success that they finally realized they were always too small to comprehend your true potential. If this story of overcoming obstacles and achieving justice has inspired you, subscribe to the channel for more stories that prove talent knows no boundaries and that sometimes life's harshest trials lead us to our greatest purpose.